I'm Logan Webb, and you're listening to TortureCast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the three-time world champion, San Francisco Giants. With hosts Chad King and Eric Nathanson. This is TortureCast.
It's Monday, March 24th, 2024, and this is episode 297 of the TortureCast, and this is our 2024 season preview of the San Francisco Giants. And of course, we are a podcast by and for fans of your San Francisco Giants. I'm your host, Chad King, and joining me today is Eric Nathanson. Man, how you doing?
I'm resisting the urge to be a woo girl, man. It's baseball week. I cannot wait. Woo! Oh, too late. I am so excited that baseball's here. I'm so glad that it starts on Thursday. I'm Chad. I'm glad that we're back for another season. 14 years. I haven't been around for the full 14, neither of you, but we've been around a long time. We're both in double digits at this point. So,
yeah,
love doing the podcast. Glad we're back for another year, and I really can't wait to jump into another season.
Yeah, this is the time of year we always feel fresh as a daisy, looking forward to the season. And like you said, man, this is our 14th season. 14, that's a lot. I mean, podcasts just don't generally last this long. And yeah, I know we're not a daily podcast, but I mean, we're approaching 300 episodes. Of course, if you look at all of our old stuff, we had a lot of bonus sods where Willie and I used to get together after games that we covered and record those. So yeah, we definitely have over 300 episodes when you think of it that way. But yeah, they started the podcast in June of 2011, shortly after their 2010 championship season. I joined in August of that year as a host. I was doing segments called Out of Left Field. It was like statistical anomalies and things of that nature. And they had a change on one of their chairs, and they invited me in, of course, with Willie and Ben. And then you joined not too long after that. And yeah, now you and I are pretty much driving the ship. Willie will certainly be joining here and there. He just couldn't make it today. But he certainly is the one who started this podcast. And he was the guy that I listened to doing a bunch of other podcasts, including a World of Warcraft podcast. And that's where he mentioned TortureCast, and that's how I got interested in it. And it kind of just all, fell out from there. So pretty crazy, man. I mean, I don't even want to think about what my life was like 14 years ago. It's pretty funny. I mean, I had both of my kids, but they were super young now. And now my oldest one's in college, and, my youngest one's about to wrap up 8th grade. And it's just crazy. But we're glad to be here. We're glad to talk about another season. And this is one of my favorite episodes of the year, our season preview. This is where we give you our prognostications, which are usually totally wrong. And we'll revisit last year's picks and stuff. And I'm sure many of you Giants fans out there have your own ideas. And we'll get to some of yours who put in your win totals for the year. So, and actually, I don't think they're too crazy this year. But yeah, let's get right into it, man. Gosh, we haven't, our last podcast was 3 weeks ago. And the Giants had just acquired Matt Chapman, of course. And since then, they let go of J.D. Davis, and that's a whole story we didn't have a chance to get into. But, he had just won arbitration, and when you go to arbitration, basically it's not a guaranteed contract until you make the roster. And they DFA'd him, or they released him. And, of course, he signed with Oakland, but he's losing out about $4 million on his deal. And that was a risk him and his agent were willing to take, because if they accepted the Giants' initial offer, he would have been guaranteed a spot. And I don't know, I guess as Giants fans, just really quick, you feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, they knew the business, they knew the risks, they knew that Matt Chapman was out there and that the Giants were linked to him. And so I guess as Giants fans, we can thank him for going to arbitration, because otherwise we probably wouldn't have Matt Chapman.
Yeah, he got kind of screwed in this deal, but like you said, he gambled. It's like that meme or that joke, I took a gamble and bet. Boy, am I bad at math. Because that's what happened to J.D. Davis. And, he was a good Giant. He was a lot of fun. He's just not, a superstar. So somebody's got to get pushed out on the roster squeeze. And we kind of speculated that it was going to be him. We figured they'd get rid of him in a trade, and they tried to, but nobody was taking him. And like every other ex-Giant lately, he ends up across the bay.
Yeah.
So, remember the Oakland A's this year are the 2021 San Francisco Giants. Well, 2022 San Francisco Giants.
There you go. That's pretty much it. I mean, we have Alex Wood signed with them, and he's
opening day starter.
Yes. So, it kind of shows you the difference in the level of play and the quality of the roster. I mean, the A's, I saw a little graphic. They were talking about the salary increases for all 30 major league teams since I can't remember the year. I want to say 2008 or 2010. Anyway, it was something like that. And 29 out of the 30 teams, of course, have a higher salary since then. I mean, that just seems natural. I mean, haven't your expenses gone up, Eric, since then? I think pretty much everyone's expenses have gone up. Our budgets have gone up. No, the Oakland A's payroll has gone down since then. That's hard to believe. That is really hard to believe. They're the only team that's actually decreased since more than 10 years ago, which is just stupid. And I feel bad for A's fans, but they're moving to Vegas, and I'm sure they'll have success down the road at some point. But hey, yeah,
maybe
22 San Francisco Giants. Yeah, that's true. Yep. We'll see what happens there. And of course, the other bombshell was Blake Snell, and we were reading the Bob Nightingale tweet during that episode saying that Farhan Zaidi reiterated that the Giants likely will not add another marquee free agent. Quote, "We have talked all offseason and been very consistent that our plan was to continue to graduate some of our young players. The offseason is really over as far as I'm concerned," end quote. And both you and I were talking about that, saying, well, he already said that once and got Matt Chapman. So let's see what happens here. And indeed, it worked out with Blake Snell. And here we are. We have last year's Cy Young winner and the runner-up. And then throw in the 21 Cy Young Award winner and Robbie Ray on the roster, and he'll be coming back probably in July of this year. We're going to have 3, Cy Young winners / candidates on this team. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was unexpected, the Snell news, to say the least. I mean, we all joked about it, and every time Bob Nightingale tweets something, we're like, oh, no, or no, it was Heyman. Every time Heyman would tweet something, we're like, okay, great. That's the opposite of what's going to happen. And
yeah.
I was so tired of hearing the Giants are in on Snell. The Giants are... How many times have we heard over the last just 5 years is the great example. The Giants are in on this guy. The Giants are in on this guy. And then we come up in second place every time. Harper, Ohtani, Judge, name the whole list. Yamamoto, whatever, everybody. And, so that's why we're all like, yeah, whatever. But this time they got it done, and Blake Snell is a great addition. They need another left-handed starter, which works out, and the whole rotation gets an upgrade with the addition to him. I just wish he had been ready for opening day. I wish they had done it 1 week earlier.
Yeah. He actually just pitched 3 innings in a simulated game yesterday. So he's doing what he can to get ready for the regular season. There's still no official timetable on when he's going to join the rotation, but I don't know. If I were to guess, I would presume by mid-April, maybe late April at the latest, but I think mid-April is probably a good target.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're 2 weeks into the season and he's right there in the rotation.
Yeah, and the one thing we have to consider with him is we get all the good, but there's a little bit of bad with him. He's had 2 Cy Young awards, both in the American League with the Rays and with the Padres last year. He's clearly a quality arm, and he was the best arm out there, no doubt about it. But he's got 2 knocks on him, and it will affect the Giants in certain ways. Number one, he puts a lot of runners on base via the walk. And so his whip is still good because no one hits him. So that's the good news, is that he basically makes up for the lack of hits with walks, which isn't the best, but a lot of those walks are maybe not in harmful situations and, 2 outs, no one on kind of thing. And then number 2, the guy doesn't go long, and that's just what he's known for. He pitches 5 innings, 6 tops, and although all of baseball has trended in that direction, you still get Logan Webb with an occasional complete game. Certainly he goes 8 innings a few times a year, but he's usually out there for 6 or 7. And we're just going to get 1 to 2 innings less with Snell, so that puts a little bit more pressure on the pen, of course. But all things being said, I think every single Giants fan would take him. And again, it's one of those contracts That has happened a lot recently, and I think that a lot of Boris's clients, they're hanging out, and I'm sure Boris is whispering in their ear, "Oh, we're waiting for that mega deal. We're waiting for that mega deal, that multi-year, 7-year deal." And I think baseball as a whole, thankfully, has pushed back on that. And you're not seeing that a lot lately, because if you look at all the mega pitcher deals lately, again, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like the last 15 mega deals, and that was like 5 years plus, hundreds of millions of dollars kind of thing. Only 3 have been like successful, and like Garrett Cole is considered one of them, and now he has arm troubles, right? So you get all these other ones with like Strasburg and others. They almost always blow up in the team's face, and I think baseball is now recognizing, all the front offices, there's always that one guy, that one team that will do it every year. And this year it just didn't happen. So that was to the Giants, favor. The drawback of it, of course, is if you assume Blake Snell has a good year, that's great for the Giants. Bad news is he has an opt-out. So just like Chapman has an opt-out, just like a lot of these guys have an opt-out. So, in a weird way, certainly glad the Giants have all of these new players, but at the same time, if the Giants have a good year and make the playoffs, and let's say they get bounced in the first round, those guys probably are going to walk. And it's almost like you got to reset and start over for next year. But that's kind of like, okay, we'll cross that bridge,
It's still Farhan took Boris to the woodshed this year, though.
Yeah.
Jung-Hoo Lee's contract is the biggest of all the most guaranteed money of all these contracts, which is kind of outrageous when you think about it. You think Snell and Chapman would have gotten themselves, secured themselves a bag, but Jung-Hoo Lee is the one who secured himself a bag, and it's kind of impressive. So I think it's funny how Farhan got to be the guy who took Boris to the woodshed this year, because these giant free agents, I heard Montgomery might be signing today, and I'll believe it when I see it. The Giants were able to take advantage of the opportunity of these guys being on the market for so long. And I mean, the price didn't drop a whole lot, but it dropped enough. And Snell liked playing for Melvin, apparently. So the Giants now add him to the rotation. And it's just, I love it. I'm with you. The drawbacks are there. He barely goes deep into games, Snell. Last year, he only pitched 7 or more innings, 7 full innings or more, 3 times. So that means he got into the 8th inning 3 times last year. He did it twice, and that was in 32 starts last year. So in 3 out of his 32 starts last year, Blake Snell only got to the 8th. And I bet if I looked at Logan Webb's stats, he probably got there 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's not like that huge, but it does concern me. This is, I mean, I love the addition, but I'm not a Snell guy. I never have been. I hate the walks.
Yeah.
I hate the pitch count. I hate how he nibbles, how everything takes forever. He's literally one of my least favorite pitchers in the world to watch. And now he's a Giant, and he's going to help them get to the playoffs. So I've got to be okay with it.
Yeah.
So I like the signing in the sense that it doesn't allow other teams to get him, and it helps the Giants. But personally, I'm not a big fan of Snell. I'm hoping he changes my mind.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm not a baseball fan of his game, but he's a quality pitcher. I mean, 2 Cy Young awards. Can't argue with the resume.
It just blows my mind. I feel like he walks people every time he pitches. It's a 3-2 count. I mean, I know it's anecdotal, but that's what it feels like. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird.
No, he's definitely
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Logan Webb pitched 7 or more innings 16 times last year.
That's amazing.
Blake Snell did it 3 times.
Yeah.
Twice.
Oh, well, it is what it is. And I'm just happy to have him because, as we talked last time, their rotation needed serious help. And this is, the most quality of all starters they could have added. And when you know that Alex Cobb is already he's already pitching in spring training, he's well ahead of his track. So, I mean, it could be that he's back in late April or early May, and that'll be a huge boost to the rotation. And then you get Robbie Ray hopefully coming back after the All-Star break. And if the Giants are in contention, which most teams are at that point, no one's usually too far behind, that's almost like getting a trade at that time. It's like having a super quality arm, a lefty, to your rotation at the All-Star break. So there's a lot of positives to look at with this team, even if they're not starting out full force or at full strength. And, it's going to give a chance for the younger guys, obviously Harrison, and you have Hicks, a reliever who throws, fire, and other guys who are going to step into the rotation before the All-Star break. And, we're going to see some stuff from them, and some of it may be good, and most of it probably will be bad, but hopefully they can hold the line, keep the ship afloat until they can kind of boost that rotation later in the year. But that all sounds good for the Giants.
I like the way Harrison as a 5 starter is really the ideal scenario.
Yeah, and he's just real quick. Bob Melvin earlier last week, he did say already the first 3 starters have been announced. He's going to go with Logan Webb as your opening day starter, Kyle Harrison number 2, and Jordan Hicks number 3. Beyond that has not been decided. It's going to be interesting though, because the Giants start the season with 7 straight games in 7 straight days. So typically in April, you'll have a couple of off days built into the schedule, mostly because of weather. They know that rainouts happen more often in April. So you can get your makeups done right away as opposed to, waiting later in the year to build them into double headers and things like that. So the Giants don't have the benefit of that this year. So they're just going to have to go full bore. But that means Webb and Harrison are going to be pitching twice in those first 7 games. I believe all of those are on the road. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And just real quickly, speaking of Logan Webb, his spring training was not spectacular. Now, we all know spring training for a proven veteran doesn't really mean anything. They play with pitches. They work on a particular thing. They're not concerned about results. It's more about the feel, right? Yes, I had to work on my slider. And yes, a couple got torched for home runs, but it's more about, I'm just tweaking this. I'm just working on this, whatever. I will say, though, his ERA for the spring was 10.97. He allowed 26 earned runs in 21 1/3 innings. Ouch. The strikeout per, he had 22 strikeouts. He only gave up 1 bomb, and he only walked 3 guys. That was all great. Then you look at the hits. 37 hits in 21 1/3. Ouch. Spring training guys were hitting 378 off of him in the spring. Again, you can attribute some of that to just working on certain pitches. But he's never had this bad of a spring before. So there's no indication that he's hurt. There's no indication he's lost any velocity. There's no indication that his mechanics are bad or anything like that. No one seems to be concerned. So, you start with a fresh slate. You go into the regular season, and maybe opening day he pitches 7 innings of 1-run ball, and we're all like, oh, okay, he's back. No worries. Just curious, do you have any concerns with his results in spring?
No, not a single bit. Logan Webb is good. He's solid. He's going to be solid at the top of the rotation. He's going to have every now and then he'll have his blow-ups, but that's about it. I'm looking at his past spring training stats.
They're not great.
He was amazing. Yeah, he was amazing in 2021. But like last year, in 18 innings, he had a 4.5 ERA. He gave up 22 hits and 3 bombs last year too. So, it's just one of those things. I'm not concerned about it.
Yeah.
If he was like 37 years old, I'd be concerned about it. But Logan Webb is, born in 1990. Logan Webb was born in 1996.
I know. It's weird.
But since he's only 28 years old, I'm not worrying about it as much. He's definitely going to still have his stuff. So,
yeah.
I'll just say blanketly, nothing anybody did in the spring really sets me up to think about the year.
Yeah.
There's guys that could have pushed the issue had they had good springs, like some did. And there's guys that could lose jobs because of the spring, Marco Luciano. But most of the time, most of these things, they don't matter in the long run. So I think Webb will be fine. Cobb's out there pitching almost already. So it's kind of crazy. So, yeah, Webb will be fine. I have no concerns. Chad, I'm ready for this team to just hit their stride. And that's not going to happen until like June or July.
And I'm with you too. I'm not concerned because there's been no indication otherwise. No one has seen anything that would, other than the stats, that would indicate he has an issue. And look at the guy, how consistent he is. He is a workhorse. He is a dog. He is just their number one for the last several years. He is the veteran on this team. He is your Madison Bumgarner type on the rotation. And so, yeah, you're just not worried about the guy. Even if he goes out and his first two starts are stinkers, I still won't be overly concerned because, like you said, you got to get the season going, right? I mean, a lot of guys start out hot. You know, we've all seen those guys in the past. If someone had 3 home runs opening day, oh my God, this guy's going to have a banger year, and he's DFA'd a month later. So just like, you know, Cy Young Award winners can have bad starts to the year, and you look up their stats at the end of the year, and you're like, oh, he's fine. So yeah, I'm not overly concerned. Now, if he had a 5+ ERA at the All-Star break, well, that's another story. But I don't think that's going to be an issue. So yeah, pretty set on him. Just real quickly, I wanted to bring up Brandon Crawford. I keep seeing people online, and I know these aren't the people that listen to our podcast, so I'm preaching to the choir here. But there are a lot of people that are still pissed, you know, that they didn't sign Crawford, and you know, they say things like, well, why did they sign Nick Ahmed? And they even signed Pablo. Why would you get Pablo and not Crawford? And I just think people keep forgetting what the situation was like. You had a non-roster spring invitee or invite to both Ahmed and Pablo. Pablo knows he's not making the team. He wanted one last hurrah. He wanted to just have some fun. He's going to have his send-off tomorrow night against the A's. The Giants are even promoting it as say goodbye to Pablo. I mean, like, he's not making the team, guys. So this was just for fun for him, kind of like Sergio Romo almost did last year, you know? Yep. And he knows it, and he's going to be assigned to AAA. We'll see what happens if he plays for the River Cats or not. That'll be interesting if he does. And then, of course, Nick Ahmed, same thing. He's 3 years younger than Crawford. He has a couple of Gold Gloves. He's still very serviceable. And he was willing to take the spring training invite. And you had Marco Luciano, who was the purported heir apparent to the shortstop position. And Brandon Crawford was like, look, I'm not taking a spring training invite. I need a guaranteed deal. The Giants are like, okay, well, good luck. And he got it. He got a 1-year, $2 million deal with the St. Louis Cardinals to be a backup shortstop there. That's great for him. Everyone wins. The Giants win. They go with the guys that, you know, were smarter to go with. The guy hit 197 last year and injured all the time. And then Brandon gets his 1-year deal, and he gets to still play some baseball. And as a fan, I'd love to see him with the Giants still, of course, for the sentimental reasons. But as far as baseball reasons are concerned, he just didn't really add any value to the Giants other than being a mentor. But why are you going to take the 26th spot just for a mentor? It just didn't make sense to me. So anyway, everyone out there that thinks these are apples to apples, they're not. They're totally different. And it's not that they hated Crawford or kicked him to the curb or anything. It was purely business, and it made sense.
Well, I mean, Nick Ahmed is not a Giants legend. You know what I mean? Brandon Crawford is. And say Craw has a great spring and beats out Luciano for the job. Or say Luciano gets hurt and Craw has to come in, and Craw starts playing amazing for a stretch. Then it makes it tougher for the Giants to bench him when the guy that they want to start comes back, because the fans would go nuts and everybody would go nuts. And this way, you just get him out of the building, time to move on. And so I'm happy he found a spot. And I'm with you. I mean, the place for him was not on this team anymore. Nick Ahmed does not equal Brandon Crawford. They're not the same at all. Nope. The history and all that comes with Craw just matters way too much. His aura fills up the room, and they were trying to fill up the room with something different this year. So in that respect, that's why Giants fans, they got rid of him. Honestly, that's why they got rid of him. He would have been fine as a 25, 26 man, but you know, like you said, it's could you imagine them wanting to DFA Crawford in May? Like we kind of expect Ahmed might be DFA'd.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be such a huge deal. The fans would revolt more than when Rennell got fired. I mean, it would be like a real picket line outside of the park. Nobody would be happy with that. So that's why they had to cut ties when they did. And I'm fine with that. And if Ahmed's played out Luciano, he deserves the job. So hopefully Crawford, though, sticks on that bench for the year. I want to see him at least get another major league year in. Yeah,
you don't want to see him get waived by the Cardinals either at some point.
Right, because he's not going to the minors. He's not.
No, he's already made that clear. So, you know, this may be his last season, no matter how you look at it. which is fine. I mean, he's had quite the career, and he's going to be on the Giants Wall of Fame, and it's going to be fine. He's going to be a legend and a Giant forever. And so many other Giants have, gone to other teams. It's sad that you can't retire a Giant, but at the same time, you even get your superstars. You get Willie Mays and others that have played for other teams at the end of their careers. It happens, guys.
Yep.
McCovey, same thing. It's like, okay, it just happens. Madison Bumgarner obviously did it, Tim Lincecum. You go on and on and on. You have rare ones like a Matt Cain who he hit a wall. He hit a wall with health, and he had to retire. But he retired a Giant. He played his whole career. And we thought that might happen with Crawford, but his passion to play is just so great. That pushed the issue. And I think we have to recognize that. It wasn't the Giants' lack of wanting Crawford. It was more Crawford was like, I only want a major league deal. I want to keep playing in the majors. And the two just couldn't meet. And that's it. And so good luck to him for this season. All right, before we get to our picks and prognostications, I do want to say I ended up going up to Oracle Park on Thursday for their annual media open house. And this is just a small event that is very well attended by media. It's pretty surprising.
Because it's free food.
Because it's free food. And the Giants management, now the last 2 years, have made that very apparent. Like, they know. They stand up there and they're like, hi, I'm the new president of baseball marketing operations for the San Francisco Giants. She's been there a year. This is her first, food fest or whatever you want to call it, open house. And she even said, just like last year, it was Larry Baer who said it, was like, don't worry, we're not going to keep you too long here before you guys get to the food, which is why we all know you're here, which is true. So they start off with some remarks by the president of marketing operations. And then Larry Baer, of course, comes out and he talked about Rennell. And that was kind of the elephant in the room. So he addressed it right away. However, the Giants still are not addressing why they parted ways. They just keep saying it was an amicable departure. And then Larry Baer announced that they're going to name the booth, that PA booth, after Rennell. It's going to be the Rennell Moonbrooks PA, broadcast studio, whatever. That's all great and dandy. They're going to start the season with a rotation of PA announcers as they look to fill it with a permanent person. So they're just starting that search right now. But I do know that a lot of media went to him right after, and that was just question after question was just about Rennell. It was amazing. And I've never seen Larry Baer look so uncomfortable, except when he had his little legal issues a couple of years ago with his wife. He just was just very stonewalled. He was like walking back and forth, kind of bouncing. He was very uncomfortable in his body language answering these questions. And he just would not give up anything, any information. So, look, you get into dangerous waters when you speculate what went on. And I don't think it's probably my place to talk about it here because it's all innuendo and kind of subjective information that has come out from, unnamed sources within the Giants. There's claims of racism and other things like that. I'm not going to get into that at all. And I don't know. I'm not smart enough nor knowledgeable enough to know. But the reality is it is going to be weird to not have Rennell in the booth after 24 years. But, she had a good career with the Giants and we move on. And she was kind of the soul of the park, but things change, right? And they had Sherry Davis before Oracle Park, and they kicked her to the curb for Rennell. So, the guard changes sometimes, and that's kind of all I have to say about it because I don't want to dive into all the political stuff because I don't know any better.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the political stuff, and we'll get back to the food. Don't forget that video, Chad, at Oracle Park is now on our YouTube channel. The thing with Rennell and Larry Baer is he clearly didn't make the decision. If he had made the decision,
I don't think he
would
did.
have been much more comfortable. Yeah,
Not
he
at
would have
all.
been much more comfortable talking about it.
No.
I mean, you know as well as I do, when you make a decision, regardless of whether or not it's the right one or not, and you stand by it, you can stand by it. He was trying to dance around and everything like that from everything I saw because there's no real explanation. My biggest question is, if they knew they were going to let Rennell go, why the hell are they now looking for a PA announcer? Did they not have the last 4 months to look for a PA announcer? what the hell have they been doing this whole time? If they know that they're going to get rid of a treasured icon of San Francisco because she is the voice of Oracle Park, why didn't they have somebody ready to take her place? Why didn't they have some, ready-made young kid who either he or she is going to step into the role and be, the new voice of the Giants, and they could, pass the torch, whether or not Rennell wanted to pass the torch at that time. So the Giants screwed this up in every way, every single way. And it's funny because this is the worst thing they did all offseason. Like, we gave offseason grades yesterday on the Giants Chatter preview show. Also check it out on the Say Hey podcast. And I said the Giants were a B+ because of Rennell. I would have given them an A if they hadn't screwed Rennell over.
That's funny.
I mean, it made a lot of fans angry. There are a lot of fans that don't go to games, so they don't necessarily hear Rennell's voice. She doesn't resonate with them as much.
No.
But I mean, I'm a guy who's been to literally 2 games at Oracle Park, and yet I feel a connection to Rennell because she comes through the television, and her exuberance for the team comes through on her Twitter page and any event we ever see her in. So I think they totally screwed up here. I'm not going to get into the reasons why. Rennell may be right. She may be wrong. We are in an age where certain things are reasons for people to fire other people when they have nothing to do with baseball. So it's entirely possible that stuff happened, but I think they totally screwed up here. And I hated that you guys had to end up talking about Rennell at the Oracle Park food thing. Because, like, frankly, there was a couple of items that looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But all anybody cared about was, hey, you guys just sacked Rennell yesterday. What the fuck? And so I totally – I hate it. I think it's a bad move from a PR standpoint. I have a feeling they're getting advice, and the person who made the decision, probably Charles Johnson, was like, I don't care. I want to be done with it. And so they are. So we thank Rennell for her service. She was a fantastic PA announcer, and she'll always be an ambassador to the Giants. And honestly, she is Oracle Park, so I'm going to miss her.
Yeah, no, I'm going to miss her too. But the Giants also announced a few other things that are happening at the park, and I'll get to the food in a second. One, which was interesting, I guess I'll say, is they upgraded the light kind of system at Oracle Park. So they have spotlights now up on every light standard, and they've installed color-changing LEDs all around the park that can, change into whatever, a million colors kind of thing. All your college kids have your LED lights up in your rooms these days. Just think of that on a massive scale in the park. And so they equated it to basically trying to recreate the atmosphere of an NBA game. NBA games, you have all the spotlights and lasers and LEDs and all that stuff to introduce your lineups or what have you. So they did give a promo video where they had DJ Umami, who's usually DJing at the games during the regular season, at night, kind of DJing from the pitcher's mound, I think it was. And they had all of the lights going crazy while she's, spinning the tunes there. And so the Giants have released that video. So if you're interested in checking it out, it gives you a good idea. But they primarily used orange for the LEDs, of course. So the whole park was glowing orange off and on. And then they had spotlights swinging around, like right on the DJ, and then out in the center field, and then into right field, and into left field, with all the other lights kind of darkened. So you can kind of see if it were a playoff game, the Giants would probably heavily use this system, right? Some special event on a night game, same thing. I am curious to see how much the Giants are going to use it, because although it can be maybe exciting to some of the younger fans, and maybe that's the reason they're doing it, as kind of an older fan, I'm like, whatever. Yeah, you can do it. I don't really care. It's not going to like pump me up for the games or anything. But it's an interesting choice, and it looks cool, I guess. But a neat upgrade. I guess they're the only major league team that's going to have the spotlight system, and so we'll see if the fans respond favorably or if they use it very sparingly.
Doom, doom, doom,
yeah,
doom, doom. All like I hear is the club music going in the background, and what are they going to be doing with that?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You have your organ going dun 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 do 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 charge. or let's go Giants, clap, 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 clap.
And then there's Kesha, tick tock, don't stop. I mean,
and now you're gonna some crazy rap thing going on with
right.
LEDs and spotlights spinning around. Everyone's getting dizzy. Like, what's going on here? Oh, it's gonna be fun. But hey, look, I appreciate the Giants are moving forward in that direction and trying new things. I don't fault them for it. Anything. I'm not like, get off my lawn. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Whatever you want. Whatever. They announced a few other things about Mission Rock development. They're leasing all the buildings there. They still have a couple more buildings to do. And I hadn't been to the park since last year. So when I pulled up, I was like, oh, dang. Where there were formerly parking lots like Lot A, it's all buildings now. They also are just opening up the China Point Park, and they brought out the Willie McCovey statue. He had been in storage for 4 years as they were developing that area, and they have now since replaced him in the middle of that park. It's basically 5 acres of open space, grass, trails, and a nice vista point looking over McCovey Cove. It's really nice. I didn't actually walk out there, but I did see all the pictures, and they said that's going to be open and ready to go by opening day. So that'll be cool. So they've really redeveloped the area. I am a little concerned about parking. They didn't address that issue, and I didn't ask any questions about it. As someone who drives up there, because we've lost a lot of surface parking lot area. So, and I don't see any replacements for that yet, but we'll see what happens there. But then we got to the food, and they are using a caterer by the name of Diamond 58 for the year the Giants moved to San Francisco. And it's going to be really interesting because they got a lot of new food offerings. Like Eric just mentioned, I did record a video and edited that up and put it up over the weekend. Kind of my review. It's about a just under 10-minute video, so it's not too long. And honestly, my favorites were the crab sandwich, which they've always sold, but I hadn't really had it before. It was really, really good. And the onion rings. My God, the onion rings were stuffed with this Mexican cojita cheese. Not like a jalapeno popper or a mozzarella stick, not that much cheese. Just enough in the inside where you taste it. Oh man, those are excellent. As the Cove crab noodles were really good. It's like a cold soba noodle dish with crab and cilantro and a Thai vinaigrette in it. They have a bacon cheeseburger, which I thought, this is going to be a standard. Oh man, it was charred to perfection. It had a real smoky flavor with the bacon in there. They have a new baseball mitt sundae. They're going to be putting one of those bubble waffles in the shape of a baseball glove or mitt with ice cream and Oreos in there in a little Giants mini helmet, which is really cool. They're going to be serving milk tea this year in these little containers. And then you had your standard affair too. Still going to have your garlic fries and your Tony's pizza, which they had samples for that too. There was just too much to eat, man. Like I tried all these samples. I couldn't finish them. I was so full and I didn't even have the pizza and other things. Like they really do put out quite the spread for the media. There's no shortage of food. And I saw Alex Pavlovich there. He was going crazy. You had Laura Britt. She did a little video on the side too. You had a lot of people doing their food reviews on the side. So, but last year's food video that I put up had a really good response, thousands of views. So I'm hoping this year is the same because it really tells you what people are interested in. Let's look at the food and not the team.
Food. It's always food. I mean, it goes back to, oh, hey, let's get this over with so you guys can go eat to the reporters. It's all food. It always brings us together.
Oh, it's great. It's a great lunch, and I catch up with people I haven't seen in a while. Steven Risotto was there too. Talked to him for a while. Ryan Leong and others. So it's always a fun event. So I'm glad to do that every year. Someone has to do it, Eric. So I willingly sacrifice a day of leave for my work to go up there to eat food at Oracle Park. But it's actually nice because you get to go sit out in the stands if you want, just kind of look at the field, and it's just, you get that baseball back in your blood, and you just get excited about the season. So there was all that going with it too. So go ahead, check it out. It's on our social media. I got to put it on our website, and then it's on YouTube. You can probably just Google Torturecast Oracle Park review, food review, and you'll find it. So good stuff there. Okay, one more thing before we get into our picks, and that is the Shohei Ohtani. Boy, that was a bombshell, Eric. That was like, holy crap, what is going on here? And please correct me if I'm wrong, because there's been multiple stories from his interpreter. But the latest story is they're considering it theft of $4.5 million. Somehow his interpreter had access to Ohtani's bank account and stole $4.5 million. And then he bet on sports with an illegal bookie. And his lawyers are saying, oh, nope, Shohei had nothing to do with it. He didn't even know about it. He certainly didn't bet on it. Whatever. But the initial story that his interpreter told was that Ohtani absolutely knew about it and gave him the money. So now he's since retracted that statement. Oh, no, I took it. I just took it from his account. And he's going to release a statement today, late this afternoon, apparently. He is not being suspended right now. He's going to start the season while MLB investigates this. But just on the surface, Eric, I don't know what your opinion is. And certainly let me know if I left anything out. Number one, it's his buddy, and I could see him lending some money because he got into some legal gambling problems, which would be a mistake by Ohtani. But maybe he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. The second problem I see is, why would any multimillionaire give access to their bank account to a friend? That's what's fishy about this. I mean, my wife and I have access to our joint checking account. I don't give access to my financial advisor or anyone else like that. So it just seems a little fishy. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I agree with you. That part does seem fishy. I don't think this guy is a fall guy. I think Ippy is his name, I believe. I believe Ippy totally did this on his, own. He did the gambling on his own. Whether or not Ohtani knew about it, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you. He had to have given him money. I don't think that this guy was just dipping into his account. And frankly, I have to wonder if this is the reason Ohtani wanted his deferment, because the access to that money. I mean, he's only making $2 million this year. The guy bet more than that. That's what's crazy about it. So you got to wonder if that's the reason the deferral money was set up like it was, because Ohtani had a feeling this stuff might happen. And in the back of his mind was just always hoping, oh, don't break, don't break, don't break. It finally broke. And I mean, the guy got fired immediately. But like, we all saw shots from opening day in Korea. And I almost put quotes around that because it's not really opening day. But
yeah,
the Dodgers were in Korea playing the Padres for 2 games. And they were, obviously, like you said, they're buddies. They were close. We saw them talking in the dugout. And then the next day, the guy's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also been speculation that the reason that this took place when the Dodgers were in Korea was so the guy might be spared having to come back to the States. And so you have to wonder if that was a factor into it too. So I think there's a lot of strings on this to pull on. I just don't think we know what they all are yet. And do I think Ohtani did wrong? I don't know. I don't have a clue. He's never presented himself as somebody like that.
No.
I mean, like when Pete Rose got nailed for gambling, it was like an open secret. You know what I mean? Nobody was shocked that Pete Rose was gambling. But it's like finding out that your wonderful star is a jagoff. That, oh my God, my favorite. Jeremy. It's as if like, say Jeremy Renner is your favorite actor, and then you meet him, and you're like, oh my God, that guy's such a dick. No, not saying Jeremy Renner is a dick. The guy seems like a wonderful guy. I mean, he hurt himself plowing the driveway. But point being, sometimes you don't want to know too much, and I'm kind of at that phase. I don't want to know too much. Just tell me the basics, the facts, the things that are important, and let's move on. I don't need to know that one of the best baseball players of this generation was duped by a good friend. I don't need to think that, he might have been a victim and was, he might have been, but I don't want to think of him as stupid, because then, it starts the speculation. Well, how could he do that? You said it. How could a guy have access to his financials and you don't notice what's going on? Yeah. So Ohtani had to know what was going on. And so if he needs to get suspended, I'm not going to stop Major League Baseball. If they want to just suspend him for the time he's on the Dodgers, we're totally good with that. But I don't think they have a reason to.
No, I don't actually expect more than like a very short suspension or a slap on the wrist. I do think that they'll find some evidence of his knowledge of it, but if he wasn't actively betting, it's kind of like, you're associated with it, but you didn't really know what your friend was doing, or if you knew, you didn't know exactly what he was betting on, and should he have done his due diligence? And yeah, of course. But like you said, it's not like Pete Rose. It's not like that at all. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's Pete Rose. No, that's not, apparently, so far anyway. Now, if it came out that he was given his interpreter money to bet for him and they have evidence of it, that's a whole different story. But he's this generation's Babe Ruth by far. He is the most talented baseball player on the planet right now. And he's had a squeaky clean image this entire time. I am a huge Ohtani fan. And honestly, when he signed with the Dodgers, it just crushed me inside. Not that the Giants didn't get him. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I was just thinking any team but the Dodgers, any team but, crap, Because he's just one of those guys that you really, it's kind of like Mookie Betts. I really like Mookie Betts. I think he's a solid player, a solid individual. Freddie Freeman, same thing, right? They're all on the freaking Dodgers. And it hurts me as a Giants fan. But now to see this going on, as a Giants fan, I hear a lot of them celebrating. Oh my God, this is great. Such a distraction for the Dodgers. It's going to hurt them. He might be suspended. What if he's kicked out of baseball forever? They're like jumping the shark right now. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that's good for baseball. That's not what I want as a baseball fan. Of course, I don't want the Dodgers to succeed, but I don't want baseball to suffer, So I'm hoping that there's not as much fire to where the smoke is. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the guy has a fishy past, the interpreter. Obviously, some of the reporters are doing their investigative journalism now, and they looked at his resume, and he said he got a degree from UC Riverside. So they contacted UC Riverside. He never was even a student there. Number two, he said he was an interpreter for a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox did their due diligence, released an official statement 2 days ago saying, we heard about this and we had to check our records, which we thoroughly did. And that we never employed this man, ever. That is a complete fabrication. And we are confident with this statement. So they did their research and then released a statement going, don't tie us to this guy. He wasn't even with us. He lied. So this dude is lying on his resume now. And that's proven. And so I guess, the apple doesn't fall from the tree, if you want to use whatever euphemism you want. The guy clearly has a checkered past. He lies about things. So I could see him lying to Ohtani, his buddy. And that's how this happens. So, hopefully he is the true fall guy. Like, he really did everything wrong, and Ohtani is cleared of all that. I know it's weird. Some of you might be listening going, how can you say this as a Giants fan? I don't want him to be punished for something he didn't do. Now, if he did it, yes, absolutely. I'm just hoping that he wasn't as involved as some people might suggest. So anyway,
but as a Giants fan, if they want to preemptively suspend him, we're okay
with that for a little bit. Sure.
Well, here's the last thought on this, and then we'll move on. Could you imagine if Ohtani signed with the Giants?
Oh yeah, right. I was thinking about that.
Could you imagine the crap we'd be dealing with right now? First of all, does this stuff come out as much as it did? Because I mentioned that they were in Korea. Well, guess what? The Giants don't go to Korea. So, how much does that a factor in playing into things? I mean, imagine how much we'd have to talk about this crap instead of just a little blurb in the middle of the season previous show. It's the one reason I'm happy they didn't sign Ohtani. For every other reason, I wish they had.
For sure. Be nice having that guy on the team right now, but nevertheless, all right, let's go ahead and get to the meat, our favorite part of the show, favorite part of our season preview every year. It's our picks for the year. And so we have a lot of stuff we can go over here, but let's just start at the top. The Giants obviously significantly improved their roster. There's no doubt about that. And they won 79 games last year. They were 5 games shy of the wild card. Arizona Diamondbacks qualified for the 3rd spot with 84 wins. Most of the time, wild card teams are obviously as low as 84, but generally in the high 80s kind of, frame or whatever. So if the Giants won 79 this year or last year, and they have a relatively healthy roster this year, I think everyone in the world is going to be picking more than 79 wins. Vegas has done so, and they've put them at 83.5. kind of like right there where the Arizona Diamondbacks were last year. So we do this every year. I'm going to throw my number out. I'm thinking 86, a solid 7-game improvement. I don't know, Eric. You're going a little higher than me.
I'm going much higher.
You go a little higher than me.
I have to tell you, dear listeners, I was all prepared. I was telling Willie and Chad, you might not like me on the preview. I'm going to be all negative. I spent the whole off season crapping on the Giants, and Farhan doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't see a plan. And you know what I see now? I see a plan. I see something, an off season where movement was done. The Giants just have better talent than they had last year. My biggest issue always was, yeah, we can blame this, we can blame that, but talent freaking matters. And by putting Soler in the lineup, by putting Chapman in the lineup, by adding Snell in the rotation, by having a quality backup catcher like a Tom Murphy, by having better depth in the outfield with the emergence of Luis Matos this spring, hopefully that'll stay and he doesn't David Villar the thing. But it just gives me so much more hope. And I'm way, way positive. And the more I look at this roster, the more I look at this team, I think they're going to win 95 games and make the playoffs. Now, usually 95 can win you the division, but we have Big Brother in our division. So I'll go with the Giants coming in second place behind the Dodgers with 95 wins. I think that they are set up. Injuries is the thing that will derail them. I mean, we got rid of Gabe. I could not stand Gabe Kapler as a manager. I thought he was horrible. Strategically in game, he had no game flow. He had no idea what was going on, it felt like. And half the time he was making moves based on what some spreadsheet said. And I just don't see that happening with Bob Melvin. I feel like we're going to look and see a club that resembles a major league club instead of an experiment this year. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to do better for the Giants. So I'm picking 95 wins. I'm not going out on a limb and saying, oh, they're going to beat the Dodgers for the division. But I do think they make the playoffs as the first wild card. I believe they will get the home series when the playoffs start as the first wild card. So isn't that how it works? Oh, no, they have to travel to hell. I don't even remember. But I take them as the first wild card. Giants, 95 wins.
I will say the caveat to my 86 is that every team has injuries, but I think that one of their major additions will be out for a significant amount of time. I just think it's going to happen. It's just baseball, right? Whether it's Snell's arm or Chapman goes down with an ankle or whatever it may be. And so my 86 is kind of like the realistic view of like, okay, if this roster was healthy 100% of the time, I do think they could get to 90 plus. I really do. But I don't think that is going to happen. So I'm tempering it with the logical kind of assumption that, a lot of these guys are going to be injured for certain parts of the year and they're going to have to plug in with AAA guys. And that's just the way it is. And so that's going to hurt them a little bit. So 86 is still, a good goal to shoot for. I think it will qualify them for the third wild card spot. I do think they're going to make the playoffs. And then, you get in the playoffs with that rotation. If everyone's healthy, that's a sick rotation. If you're going like Webb, Snell, Cobb, Ray. I mean, my God. And if Harrison had a great year, maybe he's in the mix, right? I mean, it's amazing. It could be a fantastic playoff rotation, and they could do some damage. There's no doubt about that. And then you get the couple power guys going off. I mean, Soler was the MVP of the 21 World Series with the Braves. He just mashed. So these things happen, and the point to this year, like you said, they're not going to get the West unless the Dodgers team plane crashes or something. Like, it's just not going to happen. So, the wild card is what they got to shoot for, and you just got to get in the dance. And they did that in 2014. The last team that qualified in the National League. They won the World Series. Look at last year. 2 wild card teams got to the World Series. So it's just a real common thing, much more than the NBA and the NFL. The NFL and NBA, if you're the number 8 seed, the number 7 seed now, you're not going very far, right? Generally speaking. Baseball? Nah. You just got to get in, man. You just got to get in. So I do think the Giants are going to get there with around 86. Now, I did put the question out to our listeners, and I promised I was going to read your responses on air. So I'm going to start with Facebook. Let me bring that up here. Okay, so easy question for our season preview episode. How many games will the Giants win this year? And we're just going to start off in anti-chronological order, kind of most recent to oldest. Chris Corbett, you know him on the pod there.
I might have heard of that guy. Yep.
You've heard of him. 89. And then you got Brooks. Of course, you know him as well. 86. Mark Boyer, 84. Rob Kelly, 82. My wife, Trish, 84. So she went a little bit below me. Aaron Volkman, 82 to 84. Karen Davis, 74.
Boo, 74. Boo. That is my wife, folks. Karen Davis is my wife.
So my wife went 84. Your wife went 74. Our wives.
Yeah, your wife took 10 more wins than my wife. Well, let's be fair. My wife's a Cubs fan, okay? And your wife probably doesn't even care. So, let's just be fair about this,
I love it.
She doesn't want to be right, but, she heard me. I just said it, all off season. I've been negative, yada, yada, yada. So, I don't blame her. I mean, where did she get her baseball news?
Yeah.
From me.
From you. And if you were, so pessimistic about it. But I tell you what, if the Giants are 5 games worse than last year with this roster, that's a problem. That's a major problem.
Oh, Farhan's fired. If they win 74 games this year,
I think
Farhan is fired.
I think 100%, man.
We will come back to this moment and credit my wife if Farhan gets fired. So,
we'll be like,
I might be okay with.
You knew something we all didn't. Because, that was definitely the lowest win. No one else was even in the 70s in any of our responses. So that was definitely
everybody
the outlier.
thinks they're going to have a winning record. That is the one trend I'm finding here. We all think the Giants are a good team.
Absolutely.
Except my wife.
And maybe she'll be right. Who knows? Scott Danforth, 91. Daniel Roxar, 87. Dan Josted, that's actually my father-in-law, 85. Russell Smith, 82. Brandon LaRosa, quote, the disappointing wild card amount. I like that response.
So like 85.
Yeah, somewhere around where I was, yeah. Mike Dowling, he's always a good listener, 92. Martin Banks, 90. Ernie Escalera, 87. Anders Lego Hoff, 85. George Gomez coming in with our highest pick across the social media, 100 wins. Wow. Hey, look, they got 107 just a few years ago. What if they have one of those magical years? Not saying it's impossible, but very unlikely. Derek Carmona, he's a good buddy from college, 85 to 87. Kevin Fontana, 87. And then Scott Goolsby, 88. And the wild card. So that's from Facebook. And then I've got Twitter as well. Not as many responses there. Should have had it brought up.
Yeah, it's because my wife didn't get on Twitter to crap all over. No, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
I love it. All right, here we go.
I did too.
Over on Twitter, Yassi Khan. Sorry if I butcher any of these names. I apologize. Optimistically 87. Our good friend from the UK, Bryn Davies, got it spot on last season, going for a 5-game improvement. So he's going with 84. SF Unite between 85 and 88. KMF003 with 87. Bob Granger, also from the UK. I think he might be coming over again this year. I don't know. He came over last year for a game. 86. Maze Dickey, 92. And Ryan Walters, 85. So, look, I added up all of these numbers, and our listener responses averaged 86.5 wins. So, not a bad shot. I mean, that's definitely wild card territory. I went with 86 even before I looked at these numbers. And it's about 3 more than Vegas. So I don't think these are outrageous numbers here. I think your 95 might be shooting a little high, but we'll see what happens.
It is.
I love you and your wife with opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Right, and it's all again because of my talking, but I just think that the fact that there's a more balanced schedule now, and if the Giants were playing the Dodgers 19 times, the Diamondbacks 19 times, and the Padres 19 times, I might not think that way. But 21 of those games are gone. So 21 of those games are now against the likes of the White Sox and the Nationals, so there's chances for the Giants to succeed. That's why I shot high a little bit. Kind of funny though that you chose 86, and that's right where the average comes in at this point. Everybody seems to think they're going to be a playoff team, and Vegas at 83.5 is surprising. I have to wonder what the line was before the Chapman and Snell signings. if the line was down at like 80.5 at that point.
Yeah,
Or
someone on a radio show said they looked back and it was 81 or 81 and a half. I can't confirm that. So I don't know if that's actually
less.
true or not.
Yeah, I'm trying to Google it right now, but it just keeps giving me the updated futures
Hmm.
and not by date. So I'm not seeing it at all.
Now,
But it's
just to revisit last year, just as a kind of a barometer check, I went with 85 last year, which they got 79, right? And Vegas had 81 and a half, by the way. So 2 less than this year. So I overshot a little bit, and of course, everyone was wrong with them underperforming at 79. You went with 88 last year. Steven Risotto, who joined our season preview last year, went with 84. And our listener average was 85.9, so just a little bit lower than this year. So I think everybody's picks were definitely lower last year than this year. It gives you a sign of how much we believe this roster is going to help. With Vegas going up, the average going up a little bit, and then all of our individual picks going up. I went up by 1. You went up by 7.
I mean, this happens every year. Every year, all off season, I'm like, my team sucks. I hate my team, and then it's like, oh, baseball's here. I'm gonna be positive again. You
Yep.
know, it's so funny.
Oh, it's fantastic. All right, so we have a whole list of other quick kind of guesses here. We do this every year, but placed in the NL West, I think I already mentioned mine, third in the NL West, but I do think they're going to grab the third wild card behind maybe Philadelphia. And, honestly, it's hard for me to pick, but I think Arizona's going to be better than San Diego this year. So if I would have to say anything, the Giants are going to finish ahead of San Diego, but behind Arizona. I think Arizona, if they do what they did last year, but they have a more mature team, I think they can squeeze out maybe 87, 88 wins, but we'll see. How about you? Where are you going in the NL West? You're going, oh yeah, you already mentioned that.
Second place. Yeah, second place. I think they take the top wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think the other 2 wild card teams are, spoiler alert, NL West teams.
Yeah.
I think the whole
It could be
wild card is Giants, Arizona, and San Diego. So I think this is going to be one of those years. Didn't we have it last year? One of the divisions, or 2 years ago, like when the Sox and the Twins and whoever made it, there was one division where like 3 teams or 4 teams made it. So I think that'll be this year. So I think the Giants will finish in second behind the Dodgers and get the top wild card spot.
Yeah. Now, the fun one we always talk about every year is the team leader in home runs. The Giants famously have not had anyone hit 30 or more home runs since Barry Bonds left the team. So it's been, 20 years or so. Jorge Soler is predicted to be the guy that might be able to do it. And I'm going to put it just short. I think he will lead the team, but with 28 home runs.
Yeah, I think he'll get to over 30. I think it's because of the road schedule. I think he'll hit 20 on the road, and then you only need 10, 11, 12 more at home.
Yeah.
So I can see Soler doing it. I'm going to stay positive, and for the first time in 20 years, the Giants have a 30 home run hitter in Jorge Soler.
And I won't be surprised if it happens. I'm just going just shy because the Giants just seem to have that weird curse where every other team has done it multiple times. Even in the last 5 years, I think every team has had it. The Giants just can't seem to crack that little weird mini curse, if you will. Same with like a different starting left fielder every year since Barry Bonds. Same thing, right? So I think something will happen. He'll be like injured for a month kind of thing. And so he's just not going to get to it. I mean, Brandon Bell got to 28 or 29 one year. But he was on pace to get way more than 30, and then he got hurt. So these things happen.
As far as curses go, I'll take this though.
It's a mini curse.
Giants have won 3 titles during this stretch.
It's not a requirement to win a World Series. We know this.
Right.
Yeah, that's why it's not like the goat curse of the Cubs or anything like that.
Right,
I mean, this is
Babe Ruth curse.
Yeah.
Isn't there there's a curse on some other? Oh, the Detroit Lions in football have a curse on them.
Yeah.
From Bobby Lane. So, at least it's not that. At least the Giants have won. So.
Yeah. This is one of those most baseball fans don't even know about this one. So it's
right.
Funny.
Yeah. I love that this is our curse.
Yeah. Oh no. You haven't had a person hit. Yeah. It's like, okay. By the way, as a side note to the 30 home run thing, JD Martinez did cite his reason for not signing with the Giants was the ballpark. I thought that was interesting. So
it's just nice to hear somebody say it. I mean, we all know it's true.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah, he wasn't like, oh, it's the city or something, BS like that. He was like, nah, it's just harder to hit home runs there. Period. Oh, okay. Well, that's what we figured anyway. Thanks for being honest. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that shows you that what we thought is probably true with a lot of these guys, who make that decision. So it's going to impact their numbers, Now, with JD Martinez, he's a little bit older, so it is interesting in the sense of like, how many more contracts is he chasing, that he needs numbers for? But hey, it is what it is. All right.
It's just weird. Do you want to win or do you want to hit home runs? Are the Mets in a better position to win right now, or are the Giants?
Right.
The Giants are. So, okay, JD, you just hold on yourself.
Yep. No, he's worried about his individual accomplishments, apparently. All right. Team leader in batting average. We both went with Jung-Hoo Lee. I went with the 297, and you're just a notch above 300. See, I keep setting these guys right below those thresholds, I guess. You went with 304.
Yeah, I think he'll hit over. I think he's going to be a really great contact hitter. I think the Giants fans are going to love him.
He's such a great contact hitter. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. His bat to ball skills inside the zone is what's so impressive because he's got such a great eye. He doesn't swing at crap out of the zone. He doesn't chase too often. He pretty much stays within himself and makes contact. He doesn't swing and miss a lot. So, he's I think that probably their best pure like singles doubles hitter since maybe a Marco Scutaro even. So yeah, I think Lee can probably get over 300. You just didn't want to push him over that number though, huh?
I'm going to give it. I think he's going to lead the team in average, which is saying something. The guy's never faced major league pitching. He did hit over 300 for his career in the KBO, often much higher than 300. And in spring training, again, not all major league quality arms, he hit 414 in 29 at bats. I mean, that's a good sign, right? Again, it's not proof, but it's a good sign. And he struck out 3 times, which isn't, it's 1 out of every 10 at bats. In this day and age of Major League Baseball, we'll take that. Yeah, exactly. So his on base percentage was .485 for the spring, almost half the time he got on base. So, I absolutely think this guy's capable of hitting around 300. Even if he led the team or ended up not leading the team, but hitting 270, 275 this year, I think it's a successful year for him. I really do, because it would be his first year in the bigs, and he's technically a rookie. So we'll take that. And that's above the major league average, which is around 250 or so. So, I mean, yeah, I think he will lead the team. There's no doubt about that. Again, assuming he stays healthy. And other than his major ankle injury he had, which was, a freak injury that happens. It's not a chronic thing. He's been a real healthy guy, so hopefully he stays in there. Team leader in wins. We went with Webb last year. I went with Webb again this year with 13. And what did you go with here?
Yeah, same Webb, 14.
Yeah.
I couldn't go with Snell because, as we've already covered in this episode, I don't trust that Snell will qualify for enough wins or anything or stay in games long enough. And he won't start pitching until later in the season. So Webb just seems the obvious choice. I mean, Webb's been a workhorse. He's the new Matt Cain. So it's kind of like we're going to keep picking him until we see him. Because then we move on to team leader in ERA. And even though we both picked Webb to be the team leader in wins, I think Blake Snell will have the best ERA. I think he'll fall just under 3 at 2.9. 2.91 I wrote. I don't know where the 1 came from. But I think Snell is the ERA leader for this year for the Giants. I don't know who led the team last year. Probably Webb again. But I think Snell, he has less innings pitched, so he's going to have less chances to give up. I mean, seriously, we could see a world where Logan Webb throws like 40 more innings than Blake Snell, but only starts like 3 more games than him.
Oh, for sure.
Snell keeps the ERA down, so that's why I picked Snell in the ERA category.
Yeah, I could absolutely see Blake Snell leading the team in ERA. I just had a gut feeling going with Logan Webb at 3.24. The only reason is that Snell seems to have a good year, have a mediocre year, kind of bounce back and forth in his career. If you look at his stats, that doesn't mean that's going to happen. But, he won the Cy Young last year. So generally, pitchers aren't going to win back-to-back Cy Youngs. That's just not a thing that generally happens. So that doesn't mean he can't be a good pitcher. So he's not going to have that microscopic ERA. But I could see this. This is definitely reasonable. I just went with more of a gut feeling than anything with 3.24. So that's all good. Trying to bring up last year's. I wanted to make sure where we were with Logan Webb.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't look at my pitching choices last year. I was all in on Ross Stripling for some freaking reason.
Yeah.
I swear we recorded during the day, so I wasn't drunk. I
Isn't
mean,
that
I
great?
may have been a little stoned, but I definitely wasn't drunk. So I don't know why I went so all in on Ross Stripling last year.
Yeah. Last year, Logan Webb had a 3.25 ERA for the year.
Wow. Did you even know that when you picked 3?
I did not. I did not look it up at all. Being honest here. So that's interesting. Wow. Okay. That's cool. Doesn't mean he's going to get the same. But anyway, moving on. Team leader in stolen bases. We both went with Lee. I went with 34, and you're just a little under me at 26. But yeah, I think we both see the same guy kind of leading the team. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't see anyone else on the team. I mean, maybe a Tyler Fitzgerald if he was on the team the entire year, maybe. But he's not going to get enough playing time, I don't think, to do that. So, not going to happen. All-Stars. I think it's going to be Webb, Snell, and Chapman this year. What about you?
I think it's just Webb and Chappie.
Yeah.
I don't think Snell gets in just because I don't think he puts enough under his belt for them to pick him, because we don't pick the pitchers as fans. So
no, that's true.
I could see him getting passed over for better stories this year.
And by the way, we have to
I hope I'm wrong.
And we have to keep pointing out that Logan Webb still has not made an All-Star team, despite all of his success in his career. It's really odd when you think about it. He's been so close. He just hasn't quite made it. So here we are, the guy who was runner-up in the Cy Young, and he wasn't on the All-Star team. That's just weird, isn't it? This is really weird.
Yeah.
So hopefully he finally cracks it this year. And then the final one was special awards. This could be anything from Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, MVP, Cy Young, those kinds of things. I think the Giants, Matt Chapman, will get the Gold Glove, and it looks like you thought the same thing, and neither of us thought anything else.
Well, I think like last year, Webb and Snell will be in the top 10 in Cy Young voting, but it's not worthy of really saying, hey, they're going to do this. So I'm with you. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Chapman's going to keep winning the Gold Glove. He's won, what, 2 platinum gloves, I think? Or just one?
two platinum, right? I think. Yeah.
Right. So he's already penciled in as the Gold Glove winner to third. So, that was an easy one for us, I think.
Yeah, I think that was an easy one. And Cy Young could have happened. Yeah. It's just you're talking about one award, right? So that's why the odds are really low. The Gold Glove is only at your position, so I could see that. Silver Slugger, I mean, if Lee has an excellent year, maybe, but there's going to be probably an outfielder out there that eclipses him on that for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely don't think MVP. And that's about it. So anyway, we're going with Chapman. All right. Now we move on to our standings. We're not going to predict the playoffs right now. We usually do that later in the year as the playoffs approach. Although you can throw it out if you want.
Well, I was gonna say, just put it in the back of your mind. Let's pick a World Series matchup and winner.
Yeah, we could do that. Not round by round. And we did that last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, just a matchup and winner. That's it.
Yeah, last year, I said the World Series.
Oh, you moved it up. I see.
The World Series. Yeah, I moved it up so it was easier to click over.
Yeah, thanks.
I had the World Series winner as San Diego Padres.
So did I.
So did you. And then Steven had Houston Astros, which wasn't too far off, actually. But that was interesting. Wow. I had the Dodgers in the West. This is last year. You had the Padres. Steven had the Dodgers. Central and East, though, National League. I had St. Louis and New York. Neither one of them qualified. You had St. Louis, New York. Steven had St. Louis and New York. All three of us were stone cold wrong on that. Wild card, I had San Diego, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Oops, San Diego on that one, since they were my World Series pick and yours as well.
Yep.
You had the Giants, Braves, and Dodgers. The AL West, I had Houston, which was correct. You had Houston, and Steven had Houston. AL Central, Cleveland. You had Minnesota. Steven had Cleveland. AL East, Toronto. Oops. Didn't see Baltimore getting that good. But they did. And then the wild cards, I had Yankees, Twins, and Rays. You had Indians, Yankees, and Rays. And Steven had Mariners, White Sox, and Yankees.
Yeah.
So
Oops.
we all had our swing and misses here. So I don't know what the percentage that we hit there, but I'm looking at less than 50%, I think, right there. I think all of us are around there. Not great.
Yeah. Well, San Diego
fun.
was last year's like Baltimore. I've
Yeah.
noticed in everybody's picks this year, and we did this on Giants Chatter's preview yesterday, which also can be heard on the Say Hey podcast. We did the same thing with predictions for some playoffs, and everybody picked Baltimore. And it's just like a year ago, looking at this, none of us thought Baltimore was coming. We thought San Diego was the shit. So, there's going to be some team out there that pulls a Baltimore this year. But it's just weird that now Baltimore, as we go over our picks, is one of the featured teams. And last year they were nowhere in sight.
One of the funny ones I had last year for team leader in home runs, I had Mitch Haniger at 25. But I will say I had Logan Webb leading the team in ERA at 3.20, and he finished at 3.25. So, boom, nailed that one. That was good. This is fun. All right, let's go. Let's go. This year's standings. Okay, I'm just gonna go NL West, Central, and East in a row here to speed things up. I'm going Dodgers, Cardinals, Braves. What about you?
Dodgers, Cubs, Braves.
Yeah, Cubs are much better now. And St. Louis was not good last year. They actually haven't been good for a couple of years. Just more of a feeling than anything. I think they're going to bounce back, having one of those bounce back years.
All
right.
right, Brandon Crawford bump. Huh?
Yeah, Brandon Crawford's going to take him to the promised land for sure. All right, wild cards. I'm going Phillies, Diamondbacks, and then the Giants in the third spot.
And like I said earlier, Giants, Diamondbacks, Padres. The NL West is sending 4 teams to the playoffs.
There you go. All right. AL West, Central, and East. I'm going Rangers, Twins, Orioles.
And I've got Astros, Twins, Orioles. But you see what I mean? Orioles. Like, we didn't even bat an eye picking the Orioles to win the East this year. So
we didn't. Yeah.
It's amazing how quick things happen. Yeah, but you think Texas will take the division, huh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was the tiebreaker last year, right? So they tied, they had the same record, and Houston got the tiebreaker, but didn't matter.
No concern about Bochy the year after winning a title? No concern about them trading for Carlos Beltran?
Oh my God. Yeah, they're going to give up, what's his face on the Phillies right now.
Zach Wheeler,
yeah. I still don't hate that trade. I
don't either. I love it.
They did what they thought they had to do, and it just didn't work out, I mean, if Beltran and the Giants had made the playoffs that year, everyone would have said it was a great trade. And look, Zach Wheeler didn't get good for many, many years down the road. He was not good right away.
And then the Giants won 2 more World Series afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's
not
okay.
Like trading Zach Wheeler crippled them. You know what I mean?
No, it was not. No, it didn't change their fortunes. Unless in the alternate universe they won 3 or 4 more World Series, which
Well, I mean, that's the thing. All these Giants fans who still bring up Zach Wheeler, and we got rid of him. You're picking nits. Your team won 2 more titles after that.
And that's all that matters.
It's been 10 years since Exactly. I know it's been 10 years since the Giants won a title, but I don't think Zach Wheeler is the difference in the last 10 years to win a title. Yeah. I don't think the 2016 team suddenly wins and beats the Cubs because of Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, probably.
Zach Wheeler was not Johnny Cueto at that moment. Johnny Cueto was Johnny Cueto.
Yeah, he was the guy that we were leading on, and he would have pitched Game 5 if they hadn't blown Game 4.
So it's just so funny. But it's picking nits. That's what Giants fans do, though. We find something, we hold on to it, man. I still can't even let go of 1987. Screw the Cardinals. So
I know. Kenny Maldonado losing it in the lights. Oh. We get it. I was watching that live. I'm old enough. It sucked.
I still hate the rally monkey. So, I mean, it's okay to irrationally think these things. I get it, folks, but no.
Yeah, I still don't hate it. The Giants went for it at the time. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm concerned, though. I'm not kidding. I'm concerned about Bochy the year after winning a title. The track record is they don't make the playoffs the next year, so I'm sticking with that, which was why I took Houston in the AL West.
No, for sure. I mean, look, we were swinging 50% or less last year, so these are just fun picks, right? Every year, there's some team that you think is going to do well, and they just crap the bed, and vice versa. You have another team that you're like, you just don't even see coming, and they somehow make it, right? So for the wild card, I went with the Astros. I do think they're going to fight the Rangers for the West, and a lot of people are picking Houston again, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then going Tampa Bay, and then the Yankees.
I'm with you. I think Tampa makes the playoffs. I think Toronto gets in as a wild card as well. And Seattle, they've got a great pitching staff. They seem to have a decent ball club up there. Mitch Haniger's back up there. I don't know what that does. But they definitely, I think Seattle will sneak in again. I don't think it'll be as exciting as Cal Raleigh. That was the guy's name, right? No. Some guy who hit the home run last year to send them to the playoffs. I don't even remember. That's how exciting it was because they fizzled out. But I'll always, it's one of those, you always remember when moments. And it's like, I don't even know who hit it. And it's 6 months later.
Yeah.
So, but I do. I think Toronto, Tampa, and Seattle. Wow. 3 teams that all came about 1977 and beyond. Wow.
Oh, there you go. The youngins. The youth movement.
And then I went ahead with my World Series pick. And I think the Dodgers win it all. I just think they're too good. I think they're too stacked. Any lineup with Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, and Will Smith at the top is just they're gonna do damage. They just are. And it showed in that first game of the season because I watched that one. I didn't watch the second one. I wasn't up that late. And it showed in the first game of the season that eventually those guys will wear you down to the point where the other guys might start stepping up. And then if the other guys step up at the same time as Ohtani and Betts doing their things, they're tough to stop. So I think the Dodgers win it all this year. I'm sorry. I know everybody hates to hear that, and I hate to say it. But, they're a talented bunch. And if they don't do it this year or, when are they going to do it?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I know I was picking LA almost every year until last year I went with the Padres, and I thought maybe I would jinx myself. I thought maybe picking the Dodgers was like, that's why they won't win it. Because we all have this mystical
another NL
control.
West team goes to the right, and then the Diamondbacks go to the World Series. Nobody saw that coming.
No one saw that coming. I mean, yeah, everyone was picking the Padres. I went with everyone was picking the Dodgers. I picked the Padres, which was a kind of a dark horse team. And then the freaking Diamondbacks get there. Like who thought that? So, you know what? Just off the top of my head, I mean, the Dodgers are they're the most stacked team I've ever seen. I mean, I know the Braves might be a notch above, in some ways, but I just think in a short series with those superstars, I just think the Dodgers are going to do it, this year. Again, amid all the Ohtani controversy, I think, which will blow over and everything will be fine. But yeah, as far as the American League, I mean, that's a tough one. I want to say Baltimore. And so that's my gut right now. And I know it's a popular pick, like you just said. And the thing is, look, 2 divisional winners in the World Series isn't generally happening lately. So this is probably the curse why it won't happen. But I'm going to go with Dodgers over the Orioles. I should write that down for posterity here.
Yeah, when was the last time a division winner? 2022 was the last time a division winner got into the World Series from the NL. Who did Houston beat in 2022 to win it all? Was it the Braves?
No, it was the Phillies.
It was the Phillies. So that was a wild card team.
Yeah.
2021, the Braves won it all as a division winner. So yeah, you're not far off here. Phillies and Diamondbacks last 2 years, and they're both wild cards.
Yep, and then Texas last year wild card. So although they tied for the division in a way, but
yeah. I mean, this isn't the same as 2002 when the Giants and Angels were the first 2 wild card teams to face each other in a World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only 1 wild card team at the time. Now having 3 in each league, it's going to happen more and more and more.
It's just going to happen more for
I can see that.
Yeah, no, you get,
but
especially
I don't know,
that first round with being a 3-game series, a division winner can get bounced out right away. So,
yeah, it's funny. I'm not worried about us getting into the press box with our Dodgers picks. I'm worried about us getting into the stands right now because Giants fans are not going to enjoy the fact that we both think the Dodgers are going to win it all.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, part of me also thinks the Braves could easily do that. No problem. I mean, the Braves are such a stacked team, too. So, like, these aren't solid picks. These aren't locking down picks. It's baseball, guys. I mean, how many teams make the playoffs, right? I mean, you have 12 teams that make the playoffs, and in baseball, it's such a crapshoot. It's way more than the NFL or the NBA. So it's much harder to pick these guys, especially before even the regular season starts. And so half of our teams probably won't even make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure the Dodgers will make the playoffs, though. Pretty sure about that one. That one I think I can pretty much put a lock on. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a lot of fun, man. That'll do it. I know we've gone a little bit over an hour now, so we should wrap it up. But boy, that's a fun one. We'll see how this kind of starts maturing over the year. But the Giants open their season on Thursday in San Diego, a mere 3 days from now. So it's pretty crazy. They play the A's here for the next couple of nights. They're not getting the Bay Bridge Trophy, right? That's in the regular season. Who really cares about that?
Yeah.
And I was hoping originally to attend a game during their homestand. I may not be able to do that now with my schedule, but sometime in April I'll be up there. But absolutely check out the food review video I put up on YouTube. You can look it up on our socials. I'll put it up on our page, torturecast.com, where we put all our podcasts. Of course, if you're listening to this, you know where to find our podcast. You can follow us on the socials at TortureCast, myself at ChadK21, and Eric at 2 Out Hits with the number 2. Now, Eric was just on their season preview episode for Giants Chatter, and so you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Giants Chatter on Facebook. You can check out the video. It's floating around Twitter, too. We had like 1,200 viewers at one point yesterday, which just totally blows my mind.
That's amazing. Great.
Right. That was unbelievable. The counter just kept going up in the corner. It was fantastic. So thank you, Giants fans, for showing out. Those that missed it, the preview is on Giants Chatter, or if you prefer to listen, that preview is, as I've said a couple times, part of the Say Hey podcast with Doug Hayes and Rob Lewis. Robbie missed that one, so we all were a part of it. And then, like I said, go join Giants Chatter. But I'm so happy, Chad. Baseball is here. This is the week of the season. Oh, yeah. Wait, my anniversary's on Thursday. Oh, crap. Anyway.
You'll deal with that offline.
Oh, no. Well, that's exactly why. That's not exactly why. But that was one of the things I liked about when I got married is opening day and my anniversary will always be right around the same day. So I'll never forget.
There you go.
It's like my dad used to joke. His anniversary was the 24th. He's like, it's Willie Mays' number. How can I forget?
That's a good point.
But I'm excited. Baseball is here. Thursday's going to be a great day, just sitting around watching ball. And I cannot wait to start another season of TortureCast with you, Chad. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad we do this. And thank you to all the listeners, because we wouldn't be here without you. So I'm glad I get to keep doing this. I'm glad you all keep downloading. And we really appreciate it. As the longest running fan-driven Giants podcast, we appreciate it. So I'm just looking forward to another season, Chad. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we are entering our 14th season, like Eric said. If no one was listening, we wouldn't be doing this. So thank you so much, because we don't get paid for this. We do it for you guys out there. We're passionate Giants fans. We know you guys are too. And we're not just the longest fan-driven podcast as far as running time. We're just the longest running Giants podcast of all time so far. So until we stop, we will hold that mantle in perpetuity. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this at age 70 in 20 years, but who knows? We'll see. Anyway.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to TortureCast. Opening day is Thursday. Have a great time watching the game. We'll be back in a week or two to wrap up the first week or review the first week. Until then, go Giants. A boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.